Hello and welcome everyone to Ask BRTV episode 3. I am so excited today to have my special guest, Michelle Nadon, with me. Michelle Nadon is a highly regarded recruitment specialist, career strategist, and media instructor. She's provided state-of-the-art recruiting and career guidance to the Canadian media, entertainment, and cultural sectors for nearly 2 decades. Nadon's company, Media Intelligence, .ca links today's businesses with top talent through innovative recruitment models and cutting-edge career enrichment programs. She lives north of Toronto with her beautiful German Shepherd, Stella, and spends all of her spare time and goodwill and company profits on animal rescue and animal advocacy. Her book, Careers AF, New Rules, New Tools, is available on Amazon for purchase. I'm so excited to talk with Michelle today. She is also a professor of professional practice here at Humber College. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so great to be here today.
So excited to have you. And today we're going to have a jam-packed episode. Michelle's going to address 3 major topics in the media market. We're going to talk about digital learning. We're going to talk about job search research and strategy, not the same thing, and she'll tell us more about that. And how to stay proactive and positive, which is so relevant today and more than ever in the media environment and in your job search. So Michelle, tell us about digital learning. We're going to talk about technical readiness, working in virtual environments, and how that affects the digital learning environment. And as a professor of professional practice at Humber, Michelle has a lot to share on the topic. Michelle, take us away.
All right. Well, one of the very, very fundamental rules to managing your career is being up to speed with technology. It was really important over the last few years, and now it's reached critical mass, which we're all experiencing in real time. Learning is just we have to adapt right now. That's one of our major jobs in our careers, and we have to make a point while we have this time to learn as much as we can about the various platforms that we're going to be using to conduct our jobs. But we also need to be looking at ensuring that each and every one of us at home, has appropriate software and hardware to be able to be present in the virtual markets and make a good showing. So right now, even with Media Intelligence, I've spent these last 2 months really seriously concentrating on SEO, search engine optimization, for my website, because I know it's a necessary evil, and what better time to do it than now. So learning is absolutely critical. And that is also reinforced with stuff I'm seeing in the news just this week, where they're talking about new best practices for employers, bringing their staff into new environments. And one of the prerequisites that they have no choice. Canadian employers have not been very strong on training for a lot of years due to constraints and budgets, but I'll tell you, it's going to be front and center in the new environments. Employers are going to be wanting to invest in your skills, and you're going to need to be wanting to invest in your skills as well.
So Michelle, how would we then introduce ourselves in this new normal and in this virtual environment?
Okay. Personally, I'm really going to have to get out of the habit of shaking hands. I love shaking hands. I see it as such a cultural, it's just like a cultural icon to do that. So what I'm resorting to right now is, if I'm in virtual environments, I will wave. The odd time I will bow, depending on what the circumstance actually is. But the most important thing, and this applies to post-COVID environments like it did to the environments before, always state your full name. I mean, when you think about it, why would you lose an opportunity to brand yourself? You call me, you introduce yourself as Stephanie, and I'm like, oh my God, which Stephanie is she? So, really get into the habits when you're on telephone calls, especially if your video's not there and just your audio is. Always introduce your comments. You'll say, it's Mitch here, or it's Stephanie here. just so that you're facilitating for others and making sure that everyone, knows who you are, and also so that you're managing your brand properly throughout the process.
So Mitch, it's so important that we use our full names when we introduce ourselves, just so that can stick to memory. And even if you are on a call, just to make sure that you recognize that voice to name connection that you have there. When you're in person, you have a little bit of an emotional connection, whether you have a handshake or a greeting when you're entering a meeting. How important is those first impressions? I mean, now that we're all online, how important are first impressions now more than ever?
Well, now more than ever, because you're managing them over a new medium. So, appropriate preparation for the call. A simple case of like me locking up my dogs today and closing the window, making sure there's lighting on the call, testing my audio before it happens. All of these small gestures are what I call enhancing our level of preparedness. It's enhancing our level of professionalism. So whatever way you present these days, whether it's in person or over virtual environments, always make sure that you are being as professional as possible. So you say, "Good morning, everyone. Mitch Nadon here, Media Intelligence." All right, a nice, easy introduction. Someone's going to respond and say, "Hey, good morning, Mitch. How are you?" And then we move on to the next person. So, we can keep it fairly fluid. I do recommend being social. We're operating over social networks. And so the emphasis doesn't have to just be on professionalism, but it has to also walk that fine balance, maintain that fine balance with being warm and sociable without being over the top and wasting people's time chatting. Right?
Exactly. And I know, Mitch, when you're consulting with your students and you're giving them advice as a professor of professional practice, um, I've been privy to some of those chats and we've had discussions about it, but how important is it to do investigative research now that you're able to look at people's social medias? People are more open to connecting online. How important is it now to research people's presence online, to connect with people online? How do you encourage students to make those initial connections with people in the job market or just people they may want to reach out with and have a conversation with?
Well, there's a number of different facets involved with that. We don't slide out of the room with superb networking skills, okay? Networking and social management, social competency, another way to frame it is the word agency, personal agency. We're not born with that. It's a skill that we need to develop. And sadly, the only way to develop the skill is to run it up the flagpole and test it out a couple of hundred times before you learn how to get it right. So, for everybody, I can't recommend this enough. Prepare for your telephone calls. Script, how you're going to introduce yourself. If you need or if you're asked for a little bit of context, have a short, small statement that's friendly and warm that allows that context. Then have a 3-point hit list for where you think the discussion is going to go or what you think is important with the discussion. And then once you've covered your topic, make sure that there's a call to action. But before you do, so you prep that script in advance, then you also have to go in and research the stakeholders on the call. You may not know all of them. You may only know the host in this case, like, I'm the only one, you're the only person in this group that I know personally as yet. So you need to do your research on that person, see what they're up to, do the mental math about where their professional world meets your professional world, okay? It might even be as simple as we only have media in common. Well, at least we have media in common. So you do your research on the person, and more important, if you want to be a super pro, and that's what I encourage for everybody, do your research on the organization. Have a couple of small points jotted down in a database. This organization is delivering this service, or this product for this kind of market. So when you take the call, you go to your notes and it's like, oh yes, right, there's my refresher. Then you've done the background research on the stakeholders. So now you have a basic idea of who's on the call. Well, that's just going to increase your confidence level. And it's also going to increase the confidence level of those people that you are actually dealing with. When they actively hear, active hearing, right? Active listening. When they actively hear you being prepared for a call, they're going to recognize you as being a more prepared and therefore superior team player, right? Just because you've done that 5 minutes of preparation, script your intro call, research the stakeholders, boom, you're good to go. And if you do that, I guarantee you will make a good impression.
And that leads perfectly into our next topic, where we're going to discuss job search research and strategy. And some of those key tips that Mitch just shared were tribes and communities of interest, which she talks about in her book Careers AF, which is available on Amazon, and more information on mediaintelligence.ca there. So Mitch, job search research and strategy, a mouthful, but I know you are really passionate about this, and I'm really excited to talk about. Formulate a business case. What does that mean? Formulating a business case. You spoke about knowing a company's mandate. Talk a little bit more about that.
Okay, so, I agree it is a mouthful, all right? Everybody out there, everybody, or the preponderance of the community, thinks that, they just do random job search on the internet and they're trolling for job postings and they're hoping to connect with someone. They refer to that as job search. That's not job search to me at all. Job search research is, again, maintaining, I'm sorry to be this unsexy, but an Excel spreadsheet where you list the companies in alphabetical order. And then beside the next column in your spreadsheet, you write down what their mandate is, what are they making for who. Then in the next column, you write down the names of some stakeholders and their titles, okay? So now you've got your basic research done on a company. Now we're going to expand that spreadsheet by 2 more fields, and we're going to go into job search strategy, okay? Now that I've done my research, I want to think about who this company is, who the players are, and most important, how am I going to approach them? Excuse me. How am I going to go from perfect stranger to known entity? And then how am I going to move that known entity relationship into, oh heavens, you're the best, I'm hiring you. Okay? It really is just a process. And if you manage that process on paper or in a chart form, all your information is sitting right there. Now, when you're thinking about your job search strategy, I would venture, even if you're applying for the same job, you're going to have the same kind of pat answers about why you want to be a producer at such and such independent house. But why do you want to be a producer at that shop in particular? So in terms of a business case, this is my brain candy. I'm in line at Tim Hortons waiting to get a coffee or heaven knows what, whenever I'm on hold for 5 minutes and I'm not at my desk, I'm always rehearsing my business case in my head. Let's say, for instance, I'm talking about Chorus Entertainment. I ask myself, why would Chorus hire Mitch? Well, they'll hire her as a recruiter or as a career coach or as an outplacement specialist. Why would they hire her now? Well, because this company, I'm not saying Chorus in particular because I don't know that they are, but this company may be outplacing a lot of their people right now. So right now it's because of the market is dictating the need, okay? What role does Mitch want to play for this company? Well, as always, I'm a top-notch recruiter. I am a solid career coach. I'm great for onboarding people, and I'm equally great for outsourcing people when they're laid off. So that's why those are the roles that they would choose me to fulfill if they were looking for talent in my areas. The last most critical piece, why do I want to work with this company? Well, I can say in Chorus's case, Chorus is one of the most ethical, best run companies in our entire industry. industry, and it's nothing but a privilege to work with their executive teams, and I'm not shy to say so. So if you're able to give a business case that addresses why you, why now, what role you want to play, and why you want to work with this company, I'll tell you right out of the gate, executives like me and my ilk, we will welcome you because you've done your homework. You're not sitting there saying, oh, can you tell me a little bit about your company? You're saying, hey, I already know this about your company. And boy, does it ever match the stuff that I've got. Okay, so job search research, and then job search strategy, planning actual marketing touchdowns to get in front of the right people at the right times for the right reasons. Marketing touchdowns is a whole separate part of the process, which I can explain as well.
And that's perfect. That's a perfect example of what job search research is. And again, it's researching, putting that research focus into your job search, being intentional in your job search and not just applying, but knowing the company that you're applying for, knowing the key people who make decisions around the role that you're applying for, and knowing the company as a whole and what they stand for, and making sure that your career goals align with what the company is already doing, so that you show that you're an asset to the team, and you are able to present yourself in a way where you add to their team and they're excited to have you join. And so, as Mitch alluded to, job search research is not alone. We have the strategy component. We're going to talk about marketing touchdowns. And Mitch, what goes into marketing touchdowns? I mean, we're hearing about marketing. We're hearing about marketing. Is it, are we selling ourselves here? What is that all about? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Excuse me, I refer to them as marketing touchdowns because in my vernacular, my professional vernacular, I can't come up with a more user-friendly term. But here it is in user-friendly terms, okay? Before you and I met, we were complete strangers. I would venture this is about 2.5 weeks ago, okay? Now, you reached out to me, or I reached out to you, whatever way it plays out, I responded, gave you some kind of response. That's so that you reached out, that's marketing touchdown number 1. I responded, that's marketing touchdown number 2. Whatever I responded resonated with you, so then you approach me on a different level, either via email or through a phone call or what have you, and you want to further the discussion. That's marketing touchdown number 3. So I have the discussion with you on the telephone to see where our mutual areas of interest actually are, okay? Marketing touchdown number 4. By the time marketing touchdown number 4 or 5 happens, you know, the next marketing touchdown that you and I have, I'm not going to be calling and looking at my notes and saying, oh yeah, who is Stephanie again? And who is she with? I'm going to be like, oh no, I know Stephanie. So by marketing touchdown number 5, give or take, okay, we're now connected. We know who each other are. We have a sense of what roles we're playing in the industry, and we're ready to have a more deep conversation. So every job search is a process, and it takes a series of marketing touchdowns, usually 1 to 5 to go from, holy smokes, who is this person, to, hey, Stephanie, good morning, great to see you. All right. And then it takes another small series of marketing touchdowns to get to the place where they're actually going to hire you. It's a series of touchdowns. Now, there's 1,001 ways to do marketing touchdowns. You can connect on LinkedIn, then LinkedIn, the person on LinkedIn connects back with you, then you move it to an emails kind of discussion, then you take it to an in-person discussion, and then something's coming up down the road 2 months from now, we're going to follow up. So it's all about marketing touchdowns. Now, this is a brand new business development lead and you can't speak to them again for 2 more months. Well, what are you going to do in the meantime? Well, you're going to plan another marketing touchdown that isn't business related. You're going to send them an article that you've seen, that you've read, that you've liked, or you're going to tell them about a specific event, be it virtual or boots on the ground, that's taking place in our industry that may apply to them. So, you know, it's really a longish, a mid to long term kind of dialogue that you want to establish, and then a relationship that you want to build and maintain, so that by the time that job in your functional area does come up over in their shop, you're going to be well known. They will be really abreast of what all of your skills and your value adds are. And you're going to be on the short list for, hey, we got to talk to Stephanie. So that's how the marketing touchdowns work. And I would venture, I mean, it is a little daunting in the beginning because let's face it, it's research, it's data. You got to put it in a spreadsheet and it's pretty unsexy. But please remember, knowledge is power. And it's not power because it's power. What it is it's actually confidence. So you've got that spreadsheet, Chorus Entertainment comes up on your digital display, you open it up, you go immediately to Chorus, and boom, you've got your stakeholder list, your mandate, your business case, your history of the transactions, you're good to go. Now, let's say you have the same spreadsheet and you don't just have Chorus. Let's say you've got, I don't know, 10 or 12 companies on that list that you've done all that research for. And with each company, you're scheduling new marketing touchdowns each time. Well, with 12 companies on a list over a 12-week spread, I'll eat my shirt if something doesn't give. Okay? So that's the way to do it. And when it comes to job search itself, the internet trollers will know it is a volume game. But why don't we get really strategic and really intelligent about it out of the gate and do our research and be part of the 20% of job seekers, 20%, who are really well prepared. They're set up professionally, they're engaged, they're informed, and they're ready to do business. Well, I'll tell you, that's the person I want on my team, or that's the person I want to give to another company when they've hired me to get them a team member.
And Mitch, how true is it that networking doesn't start when the job search starts? Networking, again, is that continuous conversation around how can we add value to each other's tribes or communities of interest? How can we continue a conversation that will later lead to business or to a job opportunity? How can we continue to develop that relationship and add value to each other personally and professionally? And Mitch, I know, you emphasize professional development, and you also provide services for business development through mediaintelligence.ca. And you address job search research and strategy in your book, Careers AF, which leads us to our final topic for today: how to stay proactive and positive during this time, not just this time, but always. How do we do that, Mitch?
My favorite topic of all. Thank you. Okay. Positivity is a mindset. All right. So let's start with the barest bones. Okay. To the person out there who is a new graduate, a newly entered into Canada, doesn't have any connections and whatnot, how do you stay positive? Well, the very first thing you do is you get your desk set up. Okay. You get your brand set up. You know who you are. On your email signature, there's not just a full name, but there's actually a title. I do this, that, and that. Okay? So you start with your own setup, and then you take a look at your mindset around it. Mindset is critically important, okay? When I started out, I started my spreadsheet in 1994, all right? So my digital data now on my industry is really over the top, but let's not forget, I've been doing it for 25 odd years, if not longer. So you need to start your networking practices, not one day. We start them day one, okay? It's day one. You want to stay positive in your job search, go do a little bit of research. Just do some research on 2 companies, get it into a spreadsheet. You'll feel better. Okay. Now, so staying positive is really a case of knowing who you are, knowing where you fit into the continuum. Incidentally, you do not need permission to belong to your professional tribe or your professional community of interest. You do not need permission. If you have a previously existing experiential portfolio where you've done that work in another country, or you've just graduated the program. Canada's colleges are outstanding. Humber is one of them. Where you've gained your knowledge, then please consider yourself a card-carrying member of the industry. Then, so that's preparedness overall. Now, it comes down to the day-to-day. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to do business largely. Okay, and that happens between 9 and 5. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are great business days. Everybody's on their game, everyone's doing business, everyone's trying something new, okay? So that's when you're doing your outreach, you're sending your emails, you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, you're attending events, you're building your knowledge, okay? Thursdays, people are pretty busy, usually in workplaces, so I reserve Thursdays for content creation and marketing tools. You know, what's the next gadget I need to market media intelligence? Or, you know, how's my bio? You know, BRTV needs my bio. How's it looking? Reformatted on a Thursday. And Friday, I reserve specifically for virtual coffees, networking, okay, connecting, informal social groups. That's how I kind of handle my business week. And so I can feel positive about myself and my professional pursuits if that basic work is done between Monday to Wednesday, okay? And I've taken care of my content on Thursday. So I can feel positive about myself. Then there's the messages I'm giving myself in my head, okay? Please believe me when I say everybody is subject to wondering what the other person thinks about them, okay? First of all, if you do that all your life, when you die, somebody else's life is going to pass in front of your eyes, okay? Spend less time worrying about what other people think about you and spend more time polishing your approach to those people. That would be my strong recommend, okay? I always recommend if you're nervous about taking a call, okay, like you and I had a scheduled call for this interview today. I didn't need to, but back in the days when I were nervous about taking a call for an interview, I would do 10 push-ups before taking the call. I would physically change my energy. I happen to really enjoy Kundalini yoga, so I will do that. But, you know, pick your poison. But for heaven's sakes, pick one. And change your energy, strengthen yourself. And then the final note is there are days where really you just can't do it, okay? You haven't got it in you to do it. I call those turning the plants on the windowsill days, okay? Go turn plants on the windowsill. Walk away from your desk. Trust me, it's going to be there when you get back. So go and give yourself that mental break. Go sit in the sunshine, get some fresh air, walk the dog, tidy up the living room, whatever you need to do to feel marginally better about yourself, but hopefully it does involve nature because nature is a major serotonin creator. So, you know, when you're completely incapable, then fold your cards for the afternoon and then get up again tomorrow and address it again, okay? Now, you can't do that 7 days a week, otherwise we know you're depressed, all right? But for those small pockets, you should really allow yourself the time to indulge in a little bit of self-care and strengthening yourself. And then, you know, Monday morning, 9 a.m., boom, you're back on it.
And what a great schedule to keep, and especially relevant now where we have beautiful sunshine outside, where we can take that moment away from our job search or away from strategy and get some fresh air, get a breather, and then come back more focused and energized, whether that's, you know, our job search process, whether that's researching, whether that's even creating marketing touch points and having those conversations. Be very aware of your own mental health and how you're feeling, because at the end of the day, it all starts with you and what you're trying to achieve, and you have to focus on yourself first and your mental health as well. Mitch, it's been a pleasure having you. Do you have any final thoughts in the last 4 minutes for any job seekers or new grads kind of going through this process of now we're just entering the job field, you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You spoke about positivity and what routine we can keep, but any final thoughts for those in the market right now?
You know, critically important. My company is called mediaintelligence.ca for a good reason. I have to keep up with the market intelligence, with what the markets are doing all around me. And this didn't start with, the shutdown on COVID-19. This started again back in 1994, when I really started to understand the value of understanding and recognizing a company's brand or a company's mandate. So if I were to leave you with any final thoughts other than, raising your professional game, doing your research, having a business case at the ready, scripting a call to approach people, you need to spend 5 minutes a day. That's all. Okay. Everyone reads news of some sort every day. Pick your news wisely and read your news for 5 minutes. Are you ready? Everybody hear me. Don't forget this. Read it out loud. If you just read it, it's going in one ear and out the other, and it's only in your short-term memory. If you read one business article a day out loud, it will go into your long-term memory. And boy, is that knowledge going to serve you in your job search. It's small, it's subtle, but it's a very powerful recommend to help you bring your absolute A game to your career plan.
Thank you so much for that, Mitch. Everyone, that was Ask BRTV episode 3 with Michelle Nadon. She is the founder of MediaIntelligence.ca, and her book, Careers AF, New Rules, New Tools, is available on Amazon. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.